here. Thank you so much for coming. This month, the theme is wilderness. And today we're going to explore what is really wilderness. And we invited an incredible person, Barbara, a visual artist, a lecturer, an ocean activist, and a filmmaker, and just a sea woman. So please, Barbara, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Creative Morning. I'm super happy to be here with you all. Bom dia, good morning. Okay. So we're talking about wilderness, right? And I'm going to tell you how I started my journey as a wild woman, sea woman, because it was something that I really didn't expect it really in my life, because I never really had a straight relationship with the wild world. But since I am from Brazil, I'm from Rio de Janeiro, and I always had a very close connection with the sea and the mountains and nature, I realized when I was at the age 6 years old that water was my element. And then there was this moment I was floating in the water, and I think maybe I was 6, 7 years old. I realized I was floating and my body was there, this massive, vast, deep water, and I was looking around, nobody was around me, I could see the horizon, and I still remember how this very brief moment, and I had like a flash in my head, caught me in a way that I could never explain, because it was a switch really deep inside me, and I realized, the relationship I started to establish with the ocean. The lungs of the planet were holding the biggest diversity of life. So when I realized that, my life changed completely. It was like a process. I started as an activist when I was at the age 14, doing beach cleanup with my friends. And then when I realized it, a group of 5 people turned to be 300, 400, 500 people. And I was like, oh my God, this power of collective, of people, bringing people together to do something constructive instead of, just laying down on the beach on a Saturday morning or going there and going to a beach cleanup was really powerful for me. And then things were happening organically in my life, and this relationship was growing and growing with the ocean. I left Brazil when I was 21, invited to work in my very first campaign in the Amazon. And then I realized that the sea life started to really be something consistent and very strong for me. Papaya was my sailboat. I got it second-hand in Malaysia. I had to refit it around 8 months. It was abandoned for 20 years in Malaysia. And I was like, okay, how does that work? Because I was 24 years old and had no idea how to refit boats. But that was the start of the journey to explore the deep connection with the water and this wild soul, because I didn't really know how to sail, I didn't really know how to understand, right, the intensity of the ocean. And I graduated in journalism and then filmmaking and visual arts. But photography was my very first experiment, let's say. Sorry. Yeah. And understanding all these colors, these textures, these feelings, this marine life, these marine animals, like like every single species has their own color, their own behavior, their own beauty. So for me, exploring the water world, living on my boat was something quite powerful, quite beautiful, understanding the time of all these animals and all the complexity that has underwater. maybe this will be right. So I really love to watch details, maybe because I'm Virgo. But I really love to observe how every single bit from nature, every single detail from nature. Can you see it from here? I don't know if it's the light is affecting your, yeah, okay. This life and the possibilities brought me to different countries. I've been to 84 countries in different parts of the world. leaving Brazil from the Amazon, going to places I never thought I would know, places like Yemen, Oman, Sudan, and experience all these possibilities behind a different culture, a different way of seeing things, but remembering that we are all part of this planet, we're all connected to something way bigger than just like, where are you from, right? This classical question, like, I'm from the planet, I'm from, life, and this beautiful, powerful thing that's happening every single moment we breathe this amazing air. Well, throughout these experiences, sailing with different organizations, right, working for Greenpeace, Sea Shepherd, Amazon Watch, Avaz, which was my immersion as an activist, ocean activist mainly, but starting the Amazon and going to the ocean. I also had some adventures on my own boat, as I said at the beginning, and talking with the pirates was something very questionable, because I was in the middle of the Gulf of Veiga, which is an area, I don't know if one of you here actually watched the film Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks. It's based on real story, where this French boat is, caught by pirates. All this, there's this terrible story that happened there. And I was so worried about, like, okay, what is this, right? I'm crossing the Gulf of Aden on my own boat. I don't know what's gonna happen. A lot of people say it's a super dangerous area, but I didn't want it to stay with this idea that, oh, I'm not going there because it's dangerous. It's like a lot of people say about Brazil, right? Oh, it's a dangerous place, I'm not going there. But like, crossing the street is dangerous as well, right? And then I realized, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna stick with this idea, but I was there on my boat, and then this foreman approached it with me, and then, we didn't have any common language to talk with each other. I was quite worried about it, but then I was like, okay, maybe they need food, maybe they need just to be heard. And then for me, that was quite an intense experience, because I was trying to look in their eyes, but of course I had this fear, right, as a woman being in a boat and in this area that everybody says is super dangerous. But at the end of the story, just to be short, because it's quite intense, they only needed support to be heard, food and medication. But for me, the whole concept of pirates that we have from Hollywood, right? Like, oh yeah, these dangerous guys coming and stealing things. It's just an important point to remember that it's just people who probably lost their possibilities to have a decent life. So it's just the way of seeing things and situations. And throughout the activism and my immersion as an artist as well, it took me to places to Japan to perform Sea Woman, Brazil, Lanzarote, Atacama Deserts, and then Antarctica. Antarctica was really like the big change of my life, the turning point, I would say. I was there to fight against whaling, worked for a TV series called Whale Wars, working in partnership with Sea Shepherd organization from Canada. And I was there for 2 years, back and forth between Australia and Antarctica, to document all that on the TV series, and also as a photographer. And for me, just observe all these statues, being there, -40 Celsius, photographing and filming all this wilderness, all these beautiful life, colors, species, and then being there, flying every single day in the morning in a helicopter to avoid the killing of whales. It was a very powerful tool to have a boat there and face storms and very difficult situations, right? Because every year, for many years, the Japanese whaling fleet was there to kill the whales with the excuse of research. But then this scientific research, it turns to be that every whale, it costs $250,000. One dish of whale costs $400, and unfortunately there are people who pay for that. But when you see species like this, right, this is also in Antarctica, this is a humpback whales, and I had the amazing experience to swim with them in Tonga, and then here they're singing and touching my chest and making my entire body float. I didn't even know that the sound of the the singing of them could affect my body and put me in a completely different dimension. Imagine an animal that can talk over kilometers and kilometers of distance. It's so powerful and life-changing that for me it was just like a way to reinforce my passion for this beautiful nature and the ocean and keep doing what I'm doing. This is impaired penguins. I also had a chance to spend some time with them. It was right at the end of this campaign to protect the whales, and I was the only one standing in the Ross Sea, in the very south of the South Pole, so in the very extreme of the continent. So it was really intense to be there on my own, waiting for the rest of the crew to touch the extreme of the South Pole, be there while just listening to the sounds or just listen to the silence somehow, inside and outside. So being there in this such a extreme environment in terms of resistance as a human, as a woman, it was something that really made me remember how wonderful and fantastic life is, and we should all remember that every single moment, single second of our lives, especially when you have the chance to connect with that depth in places like this. More of the impaired penguins, whales, aurora borealis, australis, snow petrels, and horizons like this, where white has completely different levels of understanding. It's not just white, it's all the levels of connection with these textures you see here with mountains. This is also part of the Ross Sea, and I also crossed the Shackleton Bay. I talk about Antarctica like my home, it's very fun. It's like, I'm just there, but it's such a complex travel, right? It's basically 2 weeks to get there, and sometimes there are super intense storms to be there, and when you reach it, when you see that, okay, we have all these tools to go to one place to the other, and I survive, and I can keep my hands and my arm warm, my body warm, and be there, it's quite powerful. So sceneries that made me remember, one very important thing that this fantastic woman sonographer was really inspired woman for me, Silva Earle. She says, with every drop of water you drink, with every breath you take, you are connected to the sea. It doesn't matter where you live in the earth, most of the oxygen in the atmosphere is generated by the sea. So think about it, right? So crazy. If you are at the top of the mountain, in the desert, in front of the ocean or not, you depend on the ocean to breathe. More than 60% of the oxygen you breathe comes from the sea. So it's quite powerful information, right? Obviously, taking care of the ocean is cool. So I invite you to go now to the Amazon chapter, because for me, this is where everything started on my wildlife. And also to remember the rivers are also connected to the ocean. When I first left Brazil in a boat, working for Greenpeace at the time, I was sailing from the south of Brazil to the Amazon, and I could see across the Atlantic and go towards the rivers. Rio Negro and Solimões, so they have, it's quite amazing because they have 2 colors. Then you see like this salt water, and the river has 2 colors, and they're all connected in the same space. How is it possible? There's nothing that could actually stop it from one thing to the other. So nature is really special. And I came back to the Amazon several times. I had experiences with different communities there, from Ashaninka, Kuntanawa, Honey Queens. With the Honey Queens, I came back many times to help in film productions, to work in my artistic projects, and it was super amazing to be there, living in a very humble way, staying in hammocks together with them, eating what they're eating, and understanding the value of the connection. Because sometimes they didn't speak Portuguese, right? And then we were just looking at each other's eyes and connecting in different ways. So this is really beautiful, to this timing of looking in the eye and remember the most primitive way, just feeling, being present. And of course, I cannot avoid to talk about this topic, but last week, 2 very important activists, journalists, and indigenous were killed in Brazil. Brazil is the country who most killed environmentalists in the world. So it's a very intense thing that happens for over many years. Chico Mendes, a very important activist in Brazil, killed as well. So we're talking about here beautiful, inspired things, and talking about the ocean and the forest, but also it's important to remember to be informed and avoid that in order to preserve life, in order to preserve all these beautiful people who teach us so much about ancestors and what we have to learn. This is a collaboration I did in Botafogo Beach in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, with an artist from California called John Quigley. This is a human mosaic we made with over 2,000 people, and this says Rios para a Vida, Rivers for Life, and it's basically a connection with the ocean, the river, and the indigenous people. Remember where we come from and where we want to go to. There is no planet B, we know that, right? This is a little bit of a very important journey for me in the northeast of Brazil. This is in Lençóis Maranhenses area, and walking around all these places, right, between river, ocean, and sand. Look what I found. What do you see here? It's like, how is it possible, right? A lot of people ask me, oh, did you make this sculpture? And the photography is like, no. This is just like a project from nature. And this is so amazing to just like walk randomly and start to see things, start to see signs, start to really see that you're connected with this purpose, and using my art and being with people, remembering that powerful possibility we have here with different skills to be united and remember this is where we come from. I'd like to share this little video, the short video here. It's possible to turn the lights off just to make it better.
Have to be extra vigilant. You used to add 2 boats patrolling these small towns now.
Mapuyo baka a e